we're
We
on.
represent ourselves.
I'm not sure if we're on yet because I keep messing up, yeah, and sometimes I'm talking to myself for a minute. People are used to me talking for the first 30 seconds to make sure we're on, like an old man. So don't worry about that. It's common. You probably hear some like dings and bings. I don't know how to silence my Facebook while we're on, so um, that's just that's life, So we're on. Okay, cool. So hello everybody. Today our guest, or right now this hour, we're joined by Michael Montenegro, who's going to be talking to us about some of his work and the city he loves and lives in, Santa Barbara. So why don't we just get right into it? Michael, tell us a little bit about this platform that you're the content creator for, the Chicano culture of Santa Barbara.
Okay, well, my name is Michael Montenegro. Thank you for having me on this show. Yeah, like Matt Cedillo said, I'm from Santa Barbara, California. Santa Barbara is my hometown. Essentially, the 805 for Santa Barbara area to like Oxnard area. That's like where I generally grew up, but Santa Barbara is my home place, my hometown. I run and founded this site called Chicano Culture de Santa Barbara in 2014. I'm also a digital content creator, and a digital content creator means in my work is essentially someone with what I could do for you and what I've done in the past
Mhm.
is essentially creating content for social media. And I create content since this content creator is so such a broad term. I have this specialized niche in Chicano culture, and later on we could talk about like how more about how I specialize that more specifically because as y'all know, Chicano culture, Chicana, Chicanx, our culture is worldwide and is very unique and generalizations are bad but we do have this universal commonality with like Chicanos from Chicago to Japan and so on with aesthetics and politics and so on. But yeah, that's a little bit about myself and my work. And I specialize, and just to mention more with my type of content creating, I specialize in more in video, photo, and graphics. The visual side of being a digital content creator, and I also do writing. I do writing of short stories, scripts, blog pieces. I also do poetry as well. I actually shared the stage with Matt Cedillo in the past with poetry. But yeah, creative writing. But yeah, that's essentially what I do in Chicano culture
So
as an intro.
tell us more about this site, Chicano culture of Santa Barbara. When did you get started? What inspired you to do this? Tell us that story.
All right, so I founded this in 2014. And I started it because there was no platform in the Santa Barbara area representing our culture authentically, realistically, not with a Hispanic or even a Latino tone to it. I'm Santa Barbara. Yeah, it's pretty much there was a lack of representation. And previously to running that, founding that site, I was working uh, for this company called uh, the social media marketing company called Being Latino, which is a umbrella company essentially, and that's what kind of gave me my real experience with like social media, and specifically I got my started with Facebook pages. I founded, well, not founded it. I pretty much got a editor position for this page called Being Chicano, and I got it through networking. It's all about networking. It's about the right people who you know and how you vibe and organic. And essentially, I want to give a shout out to Cesar Vargas and Lance Rios. Lance Rios is the one who runs Being Latino, and Cesar Vargas is my mentor. They're both my mentors, but I'm more closer with uh, Cesar Vargas, who is a great, amazing writer. Check him out on Twitter and Cesar Vargas 365. But essentially, network with them, and Cesar introduced me to Lance. Then I just told Lance how I'm so fucking passionate about Chicano culture, and this was back in 2012. Yeah, like 2012 or 2013, where that's where like kind of like the golden era of, or maybe when not necessarily the golden era, because the internet was more of golden era in the 2000s, but I guess it's specifically for Facebook, where in 2000 like 12 and 11 and 13, that's where like the Facebook pages were really blowing up. And I guess the point is, I just had this forevision of like, dude, there needs to be like authentic content, and I just got in my, I don't know how I did it. And I also have a certificate as a multimedia technician, knowing Adobe softwares. So long story short, I went to New York City to meet my mentors. Well, I first knew Cesar first, then he linked me up with Lance, and I told him all about my background and my passion and all that. And he's like, "Yo, let me give you, run our one page called Being Chicano." And this guy is Puerto Rican. He's from Ohio. He's a bona fide Norican now. That's where he's based at now. He founded the page Being Chicano, as also as well as being Dominican, being Hispanic, being like all these sub cultures or ethnic groups in the Latino umbrella.
Diaspora, yeah.
He had that vision, and he like got these people right away. So I told him, I was like, dude, yeah, your page is totally underperforming. Give me a shot. And next thing you know, is I paid from like 30,000, and I got it all the way up to like end of before me. Well, after I separated, I got it all the way up to like 350K, because I was producing authentic, real Chicano culture. Because the other editors, there was actually one other editor, and he was Norican, and I have nothing against Noricans. Actually, a lot of people tell me that I look Puerto Rican, but this is when it comes to cultural licensing, so to say,
Yeah.
and having the right lens, the authority to tell a story.
Yeah.
So when it comes to content creation and that storytelling, how can some Norican fool from New York, like the name Norican, know about Chicano culture? And so he was working as a content miner. A content miner is someone who just prowls the social media fields and just save as, screen capture, copy and paste, and put in documents. And his content was falling short in the algorithm. And with my shit, since I was writing real stuff and making real photos, I actually like to take credit where I was the first one who started the fucking Frida meme. The Frida meme where she's like when the Frida selfie meme. I was the fucking first one. If anyone wants to fucking argue about it and battle it, I was the first one. But it's
You're here, the first.
If it's the meme world, yeah. But it's the meme world. It's like you can't.
No, I understand. Which meme are we talking about, so people get a better idea of the meme?
All right. Well, let me get a. It's essentially when when Frida self portrait photo. So there's one. Essentially, it's a black and white photo of Frida, and she's painting a self portrait, and in the expression, she looks kind of like awkward, like she got caught. And I just put it in the text, and this was back in the day in the meme, when the meme format was predominantly impact font, and I created it says like, oh, that awkward moment when you get caught taking a selfie, and in this case was a selfie in that era history is more known as a self-portrait. Taking selfies is nothing new. Fucking illustrators.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So, anyways, I think I'm
Yeah.
going on tangent there. So yeah, I think that's how I got my background, and
Mm,
that's how I did it for a couple years. And then I started my page, Culture de Santa Clara, and I didn't have a direction, but I knew there was a need of folks of needing to be proud. So
mhm.
I don't know. The rest is history. I just did little by little, little by little. You know, that's
Yeah.
one thing about Facebook pages and any social media accounts. It's all about
Mhm.
persistence. Everyone goes off with with a hard bang in the beginning,
Yeah.
maybe like a week, 2 weeks, but they burn out by after a month and they go crickets. So I don't know, just little by little with my page, and now it's 2020.
Mhm.
You know, it's not the biggest page out there, but I would say of caliber of users and folks that follow and like us, it's of a
Mhm.
high caliber. And also with the content I produce is high caliber too. I'm not trying to produce poverty porn, so to say, for our culture and perpetuating stereotypes. You know, as someone as even though I'm a Chicano enthusiast, you know, geek, you know, I'm not an expert. You can't be an expert about our culture because it's always evolving. But I would say as an avid observer of Chicano culture, I just love our culture and I try not to reproduce like stereotypical cliche shit.
Yeah. So, so in that vein, when someone goes to your page, what's the kind of thing they're gonna see? Like what for you to curate Chicano culture? What kind of eye do you have? What are you looking for? What is it that speaks to you as a curator of sorts of of aspects of the culture you feel are worth platforming?
All right. Well, thank you for asking that. As my creator, because it is like a curating thing, because that's one thing with social media. It's a combination.
No, are we frozen? Am I frozen?
Matt,
Hello. Hey, I think I thought you were
can you hear
frozen.
me?
I think I was frozen. Yeah, no. So it's a combination. Let's start from there. It was a combination.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's just go to really juicy parts of this like question. To answer it is
Yeah.
to be a content creator, digital content creator, to run a page, account, any social media platform. You know, it requires a lot of skills, and technically you could do it by yourself, but also teamwork makes the dream work. So yeah, I'm the lead content creator. Sometimes I work with other folks. I have a team of supporters. um so anyways, it's my mom.
Yeah.
Mom, puedes cerrar la puerta. In my
These
room.
are, and it's the COVID life. Nobody cares. Like nobody, there's no
Yeah, right.
professional life anymore. It's life.
Yeah, right. Like
Um,
seriously, it's
yeah,
understandable. So yeah, back to your question. Curating. So for me, to give you insight for the folks out there watching, listening this, is my my target is Chicano culture of Santa Barbara, and I mean that in in a geographic
uh,
terms or a geographic way. Is that I'm all about Chicano culture from the Santa Barbara area, which means from Goleta, California, all the way to Carpinteria, California. That area, which is about 40 miles, about 45 miles, 50 miles, something like that. That stretch um, is all I'm all about that, dude. And my thing is, I love being inclusive. I'm not, I, one of my friends, my personal good friends, Chacho Burr, I remember I invited him to my history lecture in Isla Vista, where UCSB is at, uh, he told me like beginning of that lecture that I was asking for feedback, and I don't know how to end up becoming this, but he told me, he's like, "Yeah, Michael, you're kind of intimidating. You're like a gatekeeper."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And usually gatekeepers have a negative connotation. So I start realizing, I'm like, well, in a way, I am. But I explained that in my history lecture, where it's like I even though that's valid and that's still real, of like I do have like a gatekeeper position, and like just to disclose to all the folks out there who are all about Chicano culture, I would say I'm extremely inclusive when it comes to our culture. Our culture is fluid and it's constantly evolving. I and like I mentioned in the comments, where I get annoyed with cliche and stereotypical shit, especially when it comes to our culture.
Mhm.
I'm all for our culture is so inclusive and embracive, where you could be. I always give folks these examples. You could be that only white person, black person, Asian who grew up in a barrio setting that's Chicano, Mexican American, you call Hispanic, but this where you're at geographically, and it's with our terminology. You grew up in a Chicano neighborhood, so with that said, you're socially conditioned to be familiar and have more compassion and understanding to Chicano culture as compared to some dude named Carlos who lives in Arkansas, and he's the black sheep of the community. He has no sense of Chicano culture,
Yeah, yeah,
even though, even though he's Mexican heritage. He doesn't have that connection to Chicano culture. So
yeah.
that's one example, and also, I'm doing an art show this August
Mhm.
called Chicanex, and that's one way too, where I'm all for the non-binary and queer theory and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So like with the evolution of our culture, whether you spell with an X, with a CH, double X's, I don't know, I'm all for it.
So for those who might not be familiar, can you tell us a little bit about just the background, general background of the Santa Barbara area? Because I know most people, when they think of Santa Barbara, particularly people not from Southern California that don't have any experience going up and down that area, don't think of Santa Barbara as a place where there is a lot of Chicanos, and certainly not a hub for Chicano culture. So, if some people who are watching this who like, from like Chicago or Dallas or something like that, they have an idea of Santa Barbara if they've heard of it, and they think of it just as like a college town, a rich liberal kind of town. They
Yeah.
don't really have a concept of the real Santa Barbara. So let them know. Tell them about it.
All right. Well, here's a quick run through of Santa Barbara history from a Chicano perspective. Uh, as y'all might know or might heard of, there's this thing called El Plan de Santa Barbara. Barbara. I'm sorry, I'm really pocho. Santa Barbara, Santa Barbara, um, which was this historical document that started Mecha, Movimiento Estudiante Chicano de Aztlán, which is found all across the nation. And with the recent drama of MEPA, that's a different topic or conversation. Um, so essentially, when it comes to like Chicano history across the nation, Chicago, Texas, Washington, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, everywhere, we all have different narratives and different histories and characters and so on, and it's they're all important. And there's like and if you want to be more, I guess, narrow it down or be an editor, highlight the big cities, the big contributions, and
Mhm.
I would say when it comes to like big cities and um I say Santa Barbara is a really significant. It Santa Barbara deserves to be remembered in Chicano history because of Planta Santa Barbara. but also just when it comes to the battle of higher education. For specifically one fact where University of Santa Barbara, California, back in 1960, like six, like after the civil rights movement, or like the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964, but after that, there was a huge demand of proper uh, students, of higher, going to higher education. The point is, the numbers were essentially in the late 1960s, the Chicano, or quote unquote the Hispanic demographics, was only like 2% or less than 2% now. That was like in the late 60s. And now in 2020, UCSB has been awarded as, or been acclaimed and recognized as his predominant Hispanic serving institution. So that's a huge accomplishment when it comes to our elders who sacrificed in the Chicano movement to give us access to higher education.
Mhm.
I believe that UCSB Santa Barbara should be remembered for the battle of higher education. That's where we are at, and then that's what makes us different compared to the campesinos and of like Northern California, and more urban problems of like police brutality. We have police brutality in Santa Barbara too. I have some epic cases here in the 70s, but compared to LA, but Santa Barbara is more higher education. But also to point out, um, it was also a battle within the grade school level too. That's one thing with like academia. Academia gets really romanticized, where it's like, oh, did you go to school? Or like, it's very elitist like that. They say like, there's like that kind of stigma behind higher education. But a lot of the other battles when it comes to Chicano history with higher education and the quality of education is also started in like on the grade school level, high school level. Um, and there's some historical cases that happened here in Santa Barbara that really connected the full circle when it came to like higher education, and from high school to to the university level. So yeah, that's just like the big highlight of like Santa Barbara history. Now to talk about gentrification, I would definitely say that Santa Barbara, we are known as a tourist college town nowadays, and like with media perception and what's been shown out there. We have Oprah that lives out here. Uh, so many banks. It's really wealthy. It's really beautiful as well. It's artificially beautiful. Some folks would describe it as dystopian like. But the point was, there was a thriving, vibrant Chicano community in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And if you go on my page, if you want evidence of it, go on my page, Chicano Culture de Santa Barbara, on Instagram or Facebook, and I have all the evidence there. We have all the characteristics of other barrios. One big historical document is Lowrider magazine, especially during the times of Sony Madrid was the editor. They did a feature on us, on Santa Barbara, where they published it as Santa Bruta, and this is the magazine that went all over, quote unquote Aslan, the Southwest, and now collected all around the world. So with that said, we did have we still do. It's almost like kind of the last of the Chicanos. Like, we're still here, but we're not in great numbers. From I guess I actually, speak of the devil. I was working on my presentation last night. My history. I have this master history presentation that I put all my history work and logging, because there's not that much. I'm documenting all this through oral histories, and I'm doing all the research myself. No one's paying me. As a community historian, that's what I've been acclaimed as. So I guess, yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Oh, I guess what I was going to say is that to finish off the gentrification and our culture and where we're at today is essentially Santa Barbara's real estate market boomed after the 1990s into the 2000s. After 9/11,
Mm,
as things got more militarized and George Bush created the deportation machine, he pretty much set it up for Obama.
mm,
Then by 2004, and the market industry keep on ballooning up, and flipping houses. I mean, his houses out here are worth $1 million. Little tiny houses.
yeah.
Uh, so the point is that creates such a push and almost like predatory like schemes of folks of uh, folks selling out. Folks staying no better sometimes. Like economically, everyone has different reasons, but I would definitely say the real estate industry really preyed on all the working class folks. A lot of folks started selling their houses. They moved away. Then Obama really destabilized our community. Even including my own brother got deported. Half my family got deported. Then the 2008 mortgage crisis, and on top between the 2000s too, there is a lot of the city of Santa Barbara try to propose a gang injunction actually in 2000 like 4, I believe. And but anyways, they're just the city of Santa Barbara just made it really difficult for the Chicano community and really pushed us out. And especially if you have the homie aesthetic, the cholo aesthetic, the chola aesthetic, the urbanized culture, we were really demonized. And so yeah, and then essentially we're kind of a hollow city now. Like I mentioned, like the Chicanos, the Santa Barbara Chicanos, we're still here. A lot of us are in Oxnard, Santa Maria, across the country, and I don't know how to say. It's like we're like I just finish off this like that part of the story is we're kind of like the last of the Chicanos, dude.
So when you look at yeah, no, I hear you. So tell us about the Centro though. There in Santa Barbara.
Wait, say that again.
Tell us about the cultural center.
Oh, El Centro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two El Centros. There's El Centro at UCSB that's connected to the whole El Plan de Santa Barbara, Arnulfo Casillas. There's that El Centro which is really historically significant because getting space on a UC university campus is a really big deal, and that's one of their accomplishments. Then there's El Centro of Santa Barbara, of actually downtown Santa Barbara. That's in the west side of Santa Barbara. And that center, that community space, that venue has been historically been used by Chicanos, Chicanas, the folks of the community. It was actually originally a higher education space building where essentially when you get kicked out of Santa Barbara High School or the local high schools, adult education, that's essentially what it was. Folks would go to that building, and then after that, it got transformed to like more of a community center. Then ever since like the 70s, different movements have been using that and occupying it and running community programs like feeding, the community, after school programs, youth programs, adult programs. And then fast forward today, the folks at El Centro, if you check them out on Facebook and Instagram, they are continuing and doing similar things of folks who were doing things and organizing in the 1970s. And I'm really proud of the folks. I always try my best to support them and go to their events, whether it's open mics or poetry, helping out when we had the Thomas Fire, where like Santa Barbara was surrounded by the wildfires, and there was a respiratory issue when it came to our community. All the rich fucking moved away. But if you're a raza and you're working class, you were stuck in this fucking smoky hell. And we, I kind of helped out during that time too. We recreated like filters, stuff like that. And then during the mudslide, they helped out with food distribution and all these things. And they have summer programs. They're fucking awesome. And
So,
yeah.
so much of what people don't really understand about just not just Santa Barbara, but the entire California coast is there really is a kind of it's kind of a very loose segregation that goes on there. That the east side of town looks one way, the other side, the rich side of town looks another way. And one side is mostly white, and the other side is mostly Raza. And that kind of I don't think that consciousness really exists with most people when they think about these areas, like not just Santa Barbara, but Santa Rosa, San Luis Obispo. You see these same things over and over again. You see this repeating pattern. Um, yeah. So what's up with that? I mean,
Well, um, well, yeah, the east side and west side thing and the segregation of like the working class and the affluent, I would say, is pretty common all across the country. But when it comes to in the West Coast and the California and the cities that you brought up, um, yeah, there's a common pattern. Um, well, I'll definitely say Santa Barbara is a beach city besides being a tourist and college town. So we have very similar dynamics as like Santa Cruz. You mentioned San Luis Obispo, um, Monterey, some cities in Orange County, where I would definitely say this. For us being Chicano out here in Santa Barbara, we are exposed to a lot more white people. White people, we're exposed to a lot more, we're in contact of white people a lot more as compared to someone who grew up in Bakersfield, who grew up in Hanford or East Los or Santa Ana. um, I would definitely say like cities like Santa Barbara, like the ones I mentioned, I don't know, there's just a lot more white people. There's a lot more we're exposed to them. So now with that segregation, the raza over here in Santa Barbara, we are found predominantly in the lower west side and east side. Uh, it's been historically like that when it ever since like the 1880s. They've historically the raza was only in the east side. The raza was only segregated to the east side part of the old east side Santa Barbara, and it just kind of transcended. It just kind of continued that segregation. You know, the old east side barrio, the oldest part of the barrio, is now a dump. Like in the 1970s, the Chicanos organized and fought against the city and told them like, dude, why did you guys put a city dump in our neighborhood? You know, talking about environmental racism.
yeah, yeah.
And after that battle, they just created, they pretty much classified our neighborhood as a commercial area, and that kind of displaced us more. There's still a few houses, but predominantly in that area, um, it's commercial. But yeah, to continue, we're all on the east side, and I don't know why. Like I don't know, like just generally speaking, you know, it's just kind of historical. I would definitely say, you know, if you're from Santa Barbara, not all of us are fucking rich, dude. You know, there are folks who are property owners, which being having a property does give you a leverage and a privilege to survive in Santa Barbara. My family owns a property here, so we don't have. I personally don't have the drama, the tension of rent, but we do have the mortgage price, the payment. And with that said, like I guess if you see a Chicano in Santa Barbara, most likely that they've owned the house since the 1980s when the houses were cheap, or they have a really good renter like landlord, and they're able to stick it through Santa Barbara. Um, I don't I guess that's kind of like generally speaking where you know we're not in a we don't have the projects out here in Santa Barbara. We do have like apartment complexes. We do have Victorian houses, typical architecture that you see in other parts of Southern California. Um, but I would say we have high condense urban issues that you find all across the country and all across the world, where like some families live in one room. That's how my family got our start here in Santa Barbara. We all lived in one room, literally.
Yeah.
Uh, and that continues today because rent is so expensive. Just
Yeah.
to give you an idea out there, uh, a studio an average studio, one bedroom studio with kitchen, um, could start at $1,700. Like $1,700. Maybe you're lucky $1,300, depending the perks. But one bedroom's $1,000, $1,200. It's expensive, and damn, está cabrón, dude. Like, so we have high condense urban issues. Space is so crucial when it comes to human development. So we don't have the luxury of space as other raza in the country who have could at least have their own room, or their family households are less condensed,
Mhm.
or they actually have a garage, or they have a place to where the youth and just generally people can congregate. It's Santa Barbara sucks for that reason, dude. Like, it's so hard to find a place to congregate out here.
Mm.
And that's why I guess since the 70s, we were all about community centers and parks. We have a lot of parks out here too.
Yeah.
Anyways, that got
All right.
should be
So
a fun.
so okay. So we'll post some links in here where people can learn more about Santa Barbara.
Just
Post
check out my
definitely
page.
check out Michael's page. You need to look no further. So let's move the conversation to this. What tips you have? You said earlier that you grew being Chicano from 30,000 to 300,000, right? So that's a 10-to-1 growth ratio. So what tips and advice do you have out there to people who are starting their online platforms? They want to grow. What do they need to do? What are just some of the basics, and then maybe some little add some little tricks to those basics. Add put a little sauce on it. Tell us
Okay.
the secrets.
Well, I'll just tell you, what's the word? My workflow. One, I would definitely say know your skills, know what you have to offer as a creative, whether you're more on the technical side or more on the creative side or more on the managing side. I guess the managing is more the technical side, but it's also, you need social skills too. Um, yeah, social skills really matter. Communication skills really matter. Understanding that shit comes to like organizing. I don't know. I guess anyways, you have to know what your skills is. So for me, like I mentioned, I'm a multimedia technician. I have a broad skill set. I know Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere. I also enjoy writing. I have a lot of I realize that I don't know if you could uh, agree or comment on this. Is I feel like in writing, Matt, is like half the battle is having the confidence to share it publicly. Like, I have so many good friends that are really great writers, and I think they're fucking way better writers than me. But I'm like, I have conversations with them like, dude, why don't you publish your shit? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, I'm afraid. And then like I get a lot of love with like folks who are like, dude, I love the stuff that you write and you post and all that. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense, but to be a writer nowadays is just to have the confidence to make it public. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Being a
Well,
writer.
as being a writer, I think that first you have to believe you deserve to achieve your goals. Because if you don't believe you deserve to achieve whatever goals you're setting forth, you're going to self sabotage along the way, mostly through procrastination and by making a lot of excuses to yourself. I mean, this is an internal dialogue that you're just going to justify not accomplishing your goals because you don't actually believe that you deserve to achieve the things that are associated with your goals. Like there's a certain amount of if you do this, you do it well, you're going to get these compliments. When you hear those compliments, since you don't believe that about yourself, you're not going to do the things necessary to get those compliments. And that I think is the biggest mental block ever that people have when they're not ready to produce something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say
Yep.
you're in the right mentality. You're ready to go. You're ready to do things. You're ready to make an impact. You want to change the world. You bit the bullet. You swallowed your pride. You bit your tongue. You did whatever you had to do. You gut checked yourself, and you're ready to succeed. Okay, so you're in the right mentality. What are the practical skills? What are the practical things that people need to do to make sure they grow and maintain a page that gets good flow and good viewership and grows?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess not to get all abstract, just to go be direct now. Is to have confidence in yourself. So with me, I specialize, like I mentioned, Chicano culture of SB. I'm a history geek. I love making content, whether taking photos or doing graphic design, making videos. I have confidence in front of the camera. I have this really broad skill set. So fortunately, I am able to produce that amount, but you don't need to have all these skills. You could just be a fucking someone who just writes blog posts. But content is king. To be non-binary, content is the top of the pyramid. That point, like the
Monarch,
quality of
the content is the monarch. Yeah, the
the monarch is
the
a
gender
yeah.
neutral monarch. Yeah, yeah.
So and the richer your content is, the better the algorithms, the search engine optimization stuff, folks who are searching for niche stuff. Remember, like as someone like I mentioned before, I don't like stereotypical cliche shit, and most of y'all out there uh don't either. A lot of us are connoisseurs because a lot of shit is just like redundant or regurgitated. So for the creatives out there and the writers, is that's why it's important to have a niche voice nowadays, a quality niche voice, and specialize in whatever you want. You want to be that Latin Pokemon expert, do it. Be that Latin Pokemon expert from Nebraska. Um, I would then, I guess that's what it is. Like, I guess have the confidence, know who you are, what you have to offer, what you're passionate about. I guess that's like the most important thing is to have passion. Really believe in yourself, like the passion and then confidence and your skill set. And yeah, social media is free. Yeah, like you have to pay for promotions. And yeah, that's why I was mentioning like 2013 was kind of like the golden era where pages developed and built really organically. And also a lot of folks hacked the people were like hacking, working the system to build up the numbers with fake accounts and so on. But the
Click
point
farm
is,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, so the self harm right there too. That's why I was saying the quality of your demographics, your followers really matter. You don't need to have like freaking 20,000. Don't let that, push you away or like feel defeated that there's a page that
Yeah.
are more established than you. It's like, no, dude, as long as you have that passion and confidence in yourself and to think realistically, yo, this is kind of like a hobby project. I guess that's where I started my page, is like it was a hobby project.
Mm-hmm.
And little by little I produced content. Whenever I felt creative, I was just like, you know what, I want to talk about the history of Santa Barbara, or this news article about this kid getting a full ride to UCLA. Awesome, let's share that. People want to learn that stuff. I don't know, just think about relativity, think about your audience, your demographics, because when it comes to this 2020 age, digital age, we're essentially going to the psychology of like portals. And uh, how do you guess, seeking other people's I say seeking other people's realities, and also with the need of being entertained. And I guess what I'm trying to say is just be authentic, be real. You'll be amazed who you're entertaining. It's always a pleasure to meet folks from like across the country and international through my page. I also run a number of other pages from Chicano Secret Service, a comedy troupe from the 90s here in Southern California. Check them out. And also run a bunch of other pages. Some of are confidential, or for privacy reasons. But yeah, networking, just being real. It's not about you. Lay off the ego. But yeah, there's no there isn't a right cookie cutter formula to do it. There's like, and especially in marketing, there's so many ways to market yourself. Um, I guess it's to have principles. Strive for quality. You want to produce poverty porn? You just want to regurgitate other people's memes and copy and paste other people's stuff? Are you gonna be connivous or scandalous and not even give them credit? Or ripping off their shit? What kind of artist and producer are
So
you? Content.
what advice do you have to those who don't want to get their shit ripped off?
One, if you're on the internet, it doesn't belong to you anymore. So if you publish it on the internet,
Hmm.
it's just consider it gone. Consider it like it's really it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the people. And so with that said, the ego and paranoia is not a good look. Is not a good look, and it's not a good way to go about it. Like big old water stamps, like go ahead. I would definitely say like small water stamps on your visuals, and proper like crediting on your videos and your text on your website. The basic stuff like that is really important. To not look like a rookie. But I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, let it be shared. Let it. I don't know. Just when folks get paranoid and egotistic of like, oh, they're stealing my shit. Oh, they stole it from me first. I did it first. One, everything's been done. It's fucking art. It's we live in this fucking cycle. We're all remixing and being inspired. That's what it is. Essentially, being inspired by someone else's work, and we give it our own twist. Some people are really lazy and literally copy and paste, and like they do plagiary like that. But if someone inspires you, fucking give them credit at the very least.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. I guess yeah, just do the basic steps of protecting yourself, of like your brand name. Like your brand name is Matt Cedillo. My one of my projects brand names is Chicano Culture de Santa Barbara. I know that brand, that copywriting. Go on YouTube, watch copyright videos for social media. It will give you a really good insight of like basic perimeters,
Yeah.
and also how to call out people if shit hits the fan. You want to be professional about it. Remember, this is a professional social setting. So if you find someone stealing your stuff, right, not giving you credit for the very least, you message them and be like, hey, you have my my photo, you're using my poem, and I would like to be given credit. If not, please remove my creative work. And if they have a decent heart, they'll be like, oh, my bad, apology, and reciprocate that and give you that credit. And if they don't, that's where Instagram and other places, you can report that post or whatever and say that this person is stealing my content, because content is paintings, photo, audio, all this shit. Content is the broad word. So if you really do the copyright basic perimeters of like, yeah, I own Chicano Culture de Santa Barbara,
Yeah.
all that stuff, like
Yeah.
When someone does steal your shit, it's like, well, you caught them red-handed, and I don't know, man. I just say a
Yeah.
lot of people have
Yeah. No. I run along with three others, De La Jaguar, which is like another, it was a site where we produce memes, articles, and stuff like that. And, you
you
know,
do a great job.
oh, thank you, thank you. Most of the memes are almost all produced by Karina Acari Pais and Ernesto Ayala. So I mean, that's just Maria Flores done more too, and I've had suggestions for memes. So it's mostly those two. So they're the ones that do it. But we try to promote and we're pretty cool about it. But like I don't know if you want to try and like steal from us like at a different level, then you play at your own risk, because I'll come after you. But but
Yeah. And
and you know, and
especially
you know, and you know, and people should know you don't want me mad at you. It's not good.
yeah, and especially if you're a respected individual, if you're just like a I don't even want to use this word like essentially because it sounds elitist, like an amateur or someone who's gained their start with the social media content creator
Yeah,
online industry type of thing. It's one thing, but if you're like this fucking academic or someone who's been in the industry, like how dare you? Like I guess that's where it's like, how dare you have the audacity?
yeah.
No te hagas pendejo. Like
Well,
you
yeah,
don't act slick.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
self-sabotage right there. People are
yeah,
stupid.
yeah. No,
Google search that shit. That's a detective.
yeah, that's right, that's right. No, but Karina's helped run Digital Smoke Signals, was a huge site, huge following. Ernesto's the driving force behind the La Raza Unida page, another
Yeah.
huge whatever. Tela Jaguar's only got like 3,000 or something like that, but it's growing. But but again, uh, we are very large in terms of the content of our parts, So play at your own risk. But anyways, this has been a really wonderful time with you. I hate to end on that note, so let us end with what plugs you got coming. What should people be on the lookout for? How can they get more involved in the wide and wonderful world of Montenegro?
All right. Well, thank you for everyone for listening. This summer, hopefully the coronavirus, the COVID, we didn't have time to talk about that, but I would definitely say, hopefully, with the COVID-19 things with the quarantine culture, things cool down or we have a vaccine. Hopefully, we get that vaccine from Cuba. uh, I'm going to be having my first art show. It's going to be called Chicanex. You can find the flyer on our page. Uh, we're going to be publishing the official flyer that's going to have the featuring artists as well. And it's essentially a art show at Elsie's Tavern, which is going to be 21 and over. But it's going to happen during Fiestas. Fiestas is like this festival of Santa Barbara. It's like the most busiest week of the year. But the point is, I'm going to have an art show. It's gonna have feature artists, and my type of art. I'm gonna be producing some posters, some Chicano posters, movie posters, and also I'm going to have like a museum of the Chicano history of Santa Barbara. So that's this August. The art show is called Chicanex. You can find the event on Facebook, go on Instagram, go on Google. Google that. August, I believe August 7th. It's the first Thursday of August. Um, that's something I hope folks who love, Chicano culture and history, who want to have a good summer, hopefully things get better, come to Santa Barbara for the first week of August and, check out our art show. It's going to show you how distinct our culture is compared to other cities and other regions of the world when it comes to Chicano culture. But besides that, I'm just busy working on that. Finish up the pieces, make sure it's really legit. Working with other artists, organizing. Um, yeah. Besides that, just you know, follow our page, Chicano Culture SB on Instagram, on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram, Montenegro Media. Also, one thing to mention, I'm also a cycling advocate. I'm all about cycling. I'm a bicycle commuter. So if you go on my account, you'll find my bicycle page, cycling fool. You know, what's up, fool? Cycling fool. Get it? Marketing
I
purposes. So yeah,
all
but yes,
all the
yeah. That's
all
I'll
links
put
below.
links.
Yeah, yeah.
And but essentially that, man, that's keeping busy. I'm a dad working, and I appreciate all the love and the support, and I'm grateful for our friendship. I think I've known you for since the first ethnic studies block party
Yeah.
back in 2016, 2015. You know, the ethnic studies movement,
2015.
2015.
Yeah.
And you know, that's another thing that's historical too, where it's like the need of proper education, the real representation, you know, history, learning history that's representable, like that's really,
Representative.
yeah, you know, all that stuff. So that's why ethnic studies is so important. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful to know you through that. So thank you,
Yeah.
Matt.
We'll put links to ethnic studies now too. Michael, it's been a pleasure to be joined by you. I have to run because I got another interview, but we will do this again.
Si se puede. Peace.